wanted to sit down and share with you guys my experience and my family's experience, what happened to us on January 25th of 2021. Before I get into it, just two things I wanted to say. First and foremost, you can see what the title of this video is. You can see what I'm going to be talking about. If talking about storms or tornadoes or anything sad or dark like that is going to trigger you or bother you in any way, not that you need it, but you 100% have my permission to not watch. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable or upset. That's not the goal here. Okay, so if what I say is going to bother you, really, it's okay if you skip out on this. Second, this is just a video for me to sit down and talk. I still have family and friends that I know don't know the full story of everything that happened that day. And so this is just me sitting down and telling you my story. This is not me asking for money. This is not me asking for donations. This is not me asking you to feel sorry for me. It's just my story. So before I get into the events of that night, back in December of 2020, my family and I sold our first house and moved to a new house. Our first house was 720 square foot. So 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It was me, my husband Justin, my daughter, and my son all living in the house together. My kids were 3 and 1 at the time. So busting at the seams, it was time for us to move on. We bought our next house. It was literally double the size. It was 1,400 square foot. And of course, it's nothing huge. It's nothing to brag about, but it was literally double the size, and it was perfect for us. We closed on our old house and bought our new house December 21st of 2020. And of course, Christmas. And then on December 31st, I tested positive for COVID. So me and my husband and my kids were all quarantining for 2 weeks because that was the quarantine time at that time. And my husband never tested positive, I don't think. I really can't remember, but he definitely had COVID. So, like I said, our kids were 3 and 1, so we were literally taking turns and napping while the other one stayed up with the kids. Now, we didn't have to be hospitalized or anything like that, but we were definitely not one of those people that just didn't have any symptoms. That was not us, unfortunately. But we took turns with the kids and napping. And looking back on everything, I really do cherish that time we had just in the house together. I know circumstances were not great, but I mean, how often do you have 2 solid weeks in your house with your whole family? So, like I said, circumstances were not great, but I am glad that we had that together. So 2021 happens, and I had determined that was going to be my year, okay? I'm kind of lame, and I pick words for the year to focus on, and my word for 2021 was growth. And let me tell you, I did the most growing in that year that I've ever done in my entire life. So I picked growth as my word for the year. Up until that point, I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 3 years, and I didn't know what all it entailed, but I knew I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to be a good year for me, focus a little bit more on me and my time and myself, and that's what I set out to do. So my birthday, I turned 26 on January 20th, and then on the 21st, I went and got my hair done, okay? Y'all, I was ready. It was going to be my year. I was embracing me. Not new year, new me, nothing like that, but just embracing who I really am. And then January 25th, 2021 happened. That day in general started out very weird. My husband at the time at our new house, we lived 5 minutes away from his place of work. So it was a really good commute for him. But that day he had driven all the way to work and realized he wasn't wearing his belt, and that's part of his uniform. So he had to turn around, come all the way back home, and then go all the way back to work, which I know it's just 5 minutes and that's not a big deal, but still kind of puts you out a little bit, you know? And when he came back to the house to get his belt, we were like, man, this is just a strange day. I don't know. Let's just be done with this day already, basically. That morning, I talked to an advisor and enrolled back in school to finish my degree, and had my classes set up to start in fall of 2021. So I did that morning, and my husband came home a little bit later that night. It was about 8 o'clock at night when he got off work. And when he got home and the kids were in bed, I sat down and did our taxes. Thank the Lord I did that, and we didn't lose a bunch of paper from that or anything. They were already filed and done. So I sat down and did that. And the weather for that day was supposed to be a level 1 out of 5 on the severity scale. And I live in Alabama, and not to say that we get used to first alert weather days or anything like that, but we get used to it. We hear there's going to be some severe weather. There might be an isolated tornado, and it's just rain and thunderstorms, and nothing really happens. So you don't think too much about it. Well, that night, the weather started picking up a little bit. And like I said, we moved in on December 21st, and our realtor got us a live Christmas tree as a closing gift on the new house. And we had never had a live tree before. We were really excited about it. It was super cute. We loved it. And then when it died, in true Alabama redneck fashion, we just put the tree in our backyard. Now listen, we had a lot going on our property. It was almost an acre. There's almost an acre of property, and there was 4 structures on our property. So it was a really big property, had a lot going on. There's lots of paths and stuff just going on. I don't even know how to describe the property to you. You had to see it. It was wild. But so the dead tree didn't really stand out too much is what I'm saying. So the weather started picking up after my husband got home, and I told him, why don't we go put the tree in our garage in case the wind picks up, and you know, we don't want it to be a hazard flying around, whatever. So he opens the side door to go take the tree out. And by the way, if you don't like dark humor, you might not like the way I talk about this. It's my way of coping with this and just how I deal with it. So, just warning you. But he was walking out the door, and I think it was like 65 or 68 degrees outside. And yes, I live in Alabama, but for a night in January, that's unseasonably warm. And our tornado season runs from, I believe, November to April or May. So we were right in the middle of tornado season. It's unseasonably warm. And the only way I can describe how it felt outside was, it felt like being at the beach. There was a lot of moisture in the air. It was really thick, super windy and warm. It just didn't feel right. He's going to put the tree up in the garage, and he says offhandedly, Usually when bad weather comes through, we just go to bed and don't really think about it. I said, well, who knows? Maybe tonight, if we did, we might die. Girl, you was right. So he goes, puts the tree up, comes back. Then at about 10:30 at night, our power goes out. Doesn't blink, doesn't flicker, doesn't do a brownout. It just goes out. And we had just moved in the house. I can't find the weather radio. I can't find flashlights, can't find matches, can't find candles, of course. And my mom is texting me. I think my mother-in-law is texting me too, saying, hey, they're starting to kind of zero this storm in on your area. Just don't go to bed yet. I was like, okay, I'm not. So of course our internet's out, so I can't live stream to the TV. So I'm trying to pull it up on my phone. And then it just starts raining so hard. I've never heard rain just all of a sudden pour down like that. I looked at my husband. I said, I think we need to get some blankets and pillows and put them in our hall bathroom in our shower. And we have a crawl space at the front of our house that has like a big metal gate that locked into place. And we said, do we want to go down outside to go under the house if the weather gets bad? And we decided not to, just because we had our 3 and 1-year-old, didn't want to be carrying them out in the rain, slip and fall, get hurt. Just didn't want to deal with that. And we talked about our master bathroom had a bathtub in it. We talked about getting in the actual bathtub. I said, you know what? I just want to be in the central bathroom. It's closest to our kids' room. It just feels right. It just makes more sense to me. And he said, okay. So we start putting the blankets and pillows in there. And then I told him, I just have a weird feeling. I think we need to start getting the kids and just sit in the shower for a minute. Now this shower is a glass walk-in shower, and it's not big enough for 4 people, okay? But we made it work. And my mom starts texting me. My mother-in-law's texting me. They're calling your street out. Possible tornado. Please get in a safe place. Of course, we're already starting to get into our safe place. And so my husband brings me my daughter. And she's, crying, confused, because she's just woken up out of her sleep. And the bathroom door is right here, and the kids' bedroom door is right here. So it was just right across the hall. No big deal to get them in the shower with us. But I'm holding my daughter, and my husband, he's kind of getting them out of bed at that point because I asked him to. He didn't really think much was going on. And honestly, it didn't seem like much was going on, so I don't blame him. It was just a weird feeling I had, so, whatever. But he turns out of the bathroom to go get my son, my 1-year-old. And when he leaves the bathroom, I can hear the tornado coming. And people want to say it sounds like a freight train, whatever. I mean, I guess I can see that. I mean, it's like if you were this close to a train and it's going by. Just that intense sound. I don't really know how to describe it, but I hear it coming, and I yell, Justin, you gotta hurry. I can hear it coming. He said, okay, I'm going. I said, no, you have to hurry. So I'm holding my daughter, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit. My husband picks up my son out of his crib, gets in the bathroom shower with us. He sits down. He shuts the glass shower door, and the second that door comes to, our roof comes flying off. And the tornado is right on top of us. We're getting, thrown back and forth. I'm just holding my daughter's head because we didn't have helmets on. I'm just holding her head, covering her head. I'm praying prayers I've never prayed before. I'm just saying words I've never heard before, probably. Not screaming, but I'm, loudly talking, verbalizing, please save us. In that moment, I truly thought we were all going to die. I felt like we were, I don't know if we were or not, but I could almost feel us like lifting up out of the bathroom and getting like thrown around. And I don't know how to describe it to you. It felt like being in a car wreck, and you could hear every window in the house breaking. You could hear just your dishes and pots and pans flying around, things falling off the wall. It was awful. And truly thinking that we're going to die. A little humor though was, we're in the hall bathroom, and in the middle of all that I can see a Domino's box fly in. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're in our bathroom, and like my kitchen that's on the actual other side of the house, its contents are being dumped into the bathroom. That's great. It's kind of funny that's Domino's too. Whatever. But I've been asked, how long did the tornado stay on us like that? And truly, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would guess maybe 45 seconds to maybe 2 minutes, and that's pushing it. But it felt like 30 minutes. It felt so long and awful. Then it finally passes us, and my husband gets up with my son. He's walking around the house to assess the damage, see if it's safe for us to walk around at all. And I asked him, is there anything left? He said, hold on. And he walks for maybe a minute or so and comes back, and he said, no, Dee, it's all gone. And I'll never forget that. So I stand up with my daughter after he comes back and basically gives the all clear. And just looking up and just seeing the pitch blackness of the sky where my roof was, my ceiling. It was insane. And that was the most like post-apocalyptic feeling ever. Walking out, destruction everywhere. People are starting to come out of their houses. They're screaming, there's crying, there's kids crying, my kids are crying, there's people throwing up, very visceral reactions to what just happened, and just this feeling of just so helpless and not knowing what to do after that. I mean, this few minutes after it passes, you're like, I don't have a car to go anywhere. I don't have a house to just go to sleep at right now. I'm stuck in here with power lines down. What do you do? It was the most terrifying experience of my life. I've gone through a lot in my life, and hands down, this has been the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. But after that, my mother-in-law opened her home to us and allowed us to stay with her as long as we needed to. I think it was about 3 weeks to a month. Thank God she was there for us. And a week before the tornado happened, an insurance adjuster came out and looked at our property, assessed everything, and decided to up our premium and our coverage on everything in case something happened. And it did. So insurance paid out really well. And we were originally going to just rebuild on that property. And 2021, that was the year that lumber and just the cost to build was outrageous. So we just decided to pay off that property and move to a new house. So we ended up in November buying a new house. And this year has been a long, wild ride. This event feels like yesterday and 10 years ago at the same time, just because so much has happened to me and my family in this year, even after the tornado, just the repercussions of that event. And luckily, somehow we survived. I forgot to mention that after we assessed the damage, we walked outside, and where our kids' bedroom was, a tree had fallen right in on where their heads were in their beds. And in our master bedroom, the wall completely fell in where our heads were in our bed. And that crawl space at the front of the house had that big gate on it. The gate, that heavy metal gate, was completely blown in by the tornado. So if we had gotten into that crawl space, that gate would have hit us, and who knows what would have happened. I literally don't know how we survived that, other than God's hand on that. God's hand and our intuition. There's no other way that happened. So if you have donated to us, given money to us, prayed for us, talked with us, let us talk, cried with us, laughed with us, made us forget about it for a while, kept our kids for us if we needed help with that, genuinely and sincerely, I thank you, because I know we would not be here today if it wasn't for the outpouring of love and support from all of you guys. And I just wanted to sit down and just tell you our story and just genuinely thank everybody for all of the help and encouragement and support that they've given us. It really means the world to us. So thank you for listening to our story, and I hope I never have to make a video like this again, but genuinely, I thank you guys, and I love y'all so much.